The scream cut through the afternoon heat like a blade. Maria Santos didn't think. Her body moved before her brain caught up, feet pounding against scorching asphalt, hands already reaching, lungs burning as she sprinted toward the elderly woman frozen in the middle of the intersection. The delivery van came barreling down the hill, brakes shrieking metal against metal, the driver's face twisted in horror behind the windshield. 3 seconds, maybe less. Maria's fingers closed around expensive silk as she yanked the woman backward with everything she had. They hit the curb hard, Maria's shoulder taking most of the impact as the van screamed past, so close the heat from its engine kissed her skin. The side mirror clipped the spot where they'd been standing half a heartbeat ago. Glass exploded, metal screamed. The parked Mercedes crumpled like paper. Maria couldn't breathe. Her vision swam. Somewhere distant, people were shouting, but all she could hear was her own pulse hammering in her skull and the ragged gasps of the woman pinned beneath her on the sidewalk. "Are you—" Maria choked out, rolling off her. "Did I hurt you?" The woman stared up at her with obsidian eyes that had seen too much and feared too little. Silver hair perfectly coiffed despite the chaos. Diamonds glinting at her throat. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Then she laughed. It wasn't hysterical. It was the laugh of someone who'd just beaten death at cards and walked away with the pot. "Child," she wheezed, gripping Maria's wrist with surprising strength. "What is your name?" "Maria Santos." She was shaking now, adrenaline crashing through her system. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to tackle you, You saved me." The woman's accent was thick, Korean blending with decades of English. "The truck, it would have—" Her voice cracked. Around them, chaos erupted. Men in dark suits materialized from nowhere, shouting into phones, forming a human barrier around the wreckage. Maria tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. Her server apron was torn, exposing the faded restaurant logo underneath. Blood trickled from a gash on her forearm she didn't remember getting. A phone appeared in front of the older woman's face. She snatched it, barking orders in rapid Korean that made the suited men jump. One of them tried to help Maria up. "No!" the woman snapped. "Don't touch her! Get the medics, now!" "Ma'am, I'm okay," Maria started. "You're bleeding." "It's nothing, really. I need to get back to work. My shift—" The woman looked at her like she'd spoken in tongues. "Work?" she repeated slowly. "You just threw yourself in front of a van to save a stranger and you're worried about your shift?" When she put it like that, it did sound absurd. The distant wail of sirens grew closer. Maria finally managed to stand, swaying slightly. Her lunch tray lay scattered across the intersection. The tamales she'd been bringing her younger sister at school, now decorating the asphalt like confetti. "I'm sorry about your car," Maria offered weakly, gesturing at the destroyed Mercedes. The woman's laugh came again, louder this time, almost manic. "My car?" She stood with surprising grace for someone who'd nearly been crushed. "My car can be replaced. I cannot." She stepped closer, studying Maria's face with an intensity that made her want to squirm. "How old are you?" 24. "Family?" "My mother. My sister Rosa. She's 15. "Father?" Maria's jaw tightened. "Gone." Something flickered in the woman's eyes. Recognition, maybe. Understanding. "I see." She reached up, her thumb wiping blood from Maria's cheek with a tenderness that felt too intimate for strangers. "You have your mother's courage, I think. You don't know my mother." "No. But I know what it looks like when someone chooses to protect instead of run." The woman's hand moved to Maria's shoulder, squeezing once. "I am Chin Mae-Hee, and you, Maria Santos, have just altered the course of your life." Before Maria could ask what that meant, a motorcycle roared through the gathered crowd with zero regard for personal space or traffic laws. It skidded to a stop so close Maria felt the heat from the engine. The rider swung off in one fluid motion, helmet coming off to reveal a face that made the surrounding women forget to breathe. Sharp cheekbones, dark eyes that could freeze blood, black hair falling across his forehead as he stalked toward them with the focused intensity of a predator who'd just spotted a threat to his territory. "Iama." His voice was low, controlled, but Maria heard the tremor underneath. Fear wrapped in steel. He reached Chin Mae-Hee in 3 strides, hands moving over her shoulders, her arms, checking for injuries with practiced efficiency. "What happened? Are you hurt? Who did this?" "Dae-Jung." Mae-Hee caught his hands, stilling them. "I'm alive because of her." He turned. Maria forgot how to breathe properly. His gaze locked onto her like a targeting system, sweeping from her torn apron to her bleeding arm to her face. Something in his expression shifted, the cold calculation warming by a fraction of a degree. "You," he said. "Me," Maria confirmed, because what else was there to say? He looked at her arm. His jaw clenched so hard she heard his teeth grind. "You're injured." "She needs medical attention," Mae-Hee interjected. "I'm fine. Really." "You're bleeding on my mother's sidewalk." His tone suggested this was a personal offense. He moved toward her, and Maria's instinct was to step back, but her legs still felt like overcooked noodles. He caught her elbow, the uninjured one, with surprising gentleness. "Can you walk?" "Yes?" "That didn't sound certain." "I'm reasonably confident?" The corner of his mouth twitched. It might have been a smile on someone else. On him, it looked like a crack in a dam. He turned to one of the suited men. "Get the medic, and close off this entire block. I want to know everything. Who was driving, how the brakes failed, why my mother was here at this exact time." His voice dropped to something that raised goosebumps on Maria's arms. "And I want to know who knew her route." The men scattered like startled birds. Mae-Hee stepped closer to Maria, her voice soft but carrying steel underneath. "You don't understand what you've done today, child. I just saw someone in trouble." "No." Mae-Hee's fingers found Maria's chin, tilting her face up. "You saw someone and chose to act. Most people freeze. They watch, they film, they do nothing." Her eyes glistened. "You are different." "I'm really not." "She is mine." Mae-Hee announced this to the gathering crowd like a royal decree. "As of this moment, this girl is family. Anyone who touches her answers to me. Anyone who threatens her faces the full weight of the Chin family." The suited men bowed their heads in acknowledgement. Maria's brain finally caught up. "I'm sorry, what?" Dae-Jung closed his eyes. "Iama, don't argue." "I'm not arguing, I'm just suggesting that perhaps claiming random civilians as family members might require a conversation." "She saved my life." Mae-Hee's voice could have cut diamonds. "That makes her blood. That is how these things work." "That is not how these things work." "It is now." Maria raised her uninjured hand. "Hi, yes, person with autonomy here. Maybe I get a vote?" They both looked at her. Mae-Hee with approval. Dae-Jung with something that might have been respect if it weren't buried under 6 layers of exasperation. "You don't want to be associated with us," he said flatly. "Trust me." "Why not?" "Because my family is dangerous." Maria glanced at the destroyed car, the armed guards, the way people kept their distance like there was an invisible barrier. "I'm getting that impression." "Then you understand why your mother almost died today." Maria's voice came out stronger than she felt. "I don't care who you are or what you do. I wasn't going to let that happen." Silence fell like a hammer. Dae-Jung stared at her. Really stared, like he was trying to solve an equation that kept changing variables. "You don't know us," he said quietly. "I know your mother says thank you by trying to adopt people. That's actually kind of sweet." Mae-Hee laughed so hard she had to grab Dae-Jung's arm for support. I like her. Dae-Jung. I officially like her. I noticed. She has spirit. I noticed that too. And she doesn't fear you. Yes, I'm aware, thank you. The medic arrived with a kit, cutting off whatever Dae-Jung was about to say. As the man cleaned Maria's arm, she watched the Chin family matriarch issue orders like a general commanding troops. The destroyed car was being loaded onto a flatbed. The intersection was completely sealed off. News vans were being turned away by men who looked like they could bench press buildings. "What do you do?" Maria asked Dae-Jung quietly. He met her eyes. "Import, export." That's a terrible lie. I know. He almost smiled again, but it's the polite one. The medic finished bandaging her arm. Mae-Hee immediately appeared, inspecting the work like she was judging a surgery. "Good, now." She turned to Maria with an expression that probably made grown men confess to crimes they didn't commit. "You will come to dinner. I really should get back. Tonight, 6 o'clock. I will send a car. Mrs. Chin, it is not a request, child. You saved my life. The least you can do is let me feed you properly." Her smile was warm, but her eyes held steel. "Besides, I want to meet the mother who raised such a brave daughter." Maria's stomach dropped. "My mother works nights, and Rosa has school. Then tomorrow, bring them both. Sunday dinner." Mae-Hee's smile widened. "I insist." There was no universe where this ended well. Maria could feel it in her bones. But she also saw the way Mae-Hee's hands trembled slightly when she thought no one was looking. The way Dae-Jung hadn't moved more than 3 feet from his mother since arriving. The way his eyes kept darting to the intersection like he was replaying Maria's rescue over and over, calculating how many ways it could have gone wrong. "Okay," Maria heard herself say. "Sunday, dinner." Mae-Hee clapped her hands together, delighted. "Excellent. Dae-Jung, give her your number." "What? No, why would I?" "In case she needs anything before Sunday." "She can call you." "Dae-Jung." Mae-Hee's voice dropped an octave. "Give the girl your number." He pulled out his phone with the resigned air of someone who'd lost this battle before it started. "What's your number?" Maria rattled it off, still not entirely sure how she'd ended up here. Her phone buzzed a moment later with a text containing just his name. No emoji, no greeting, just Chin Dae-Jung in stark letters. "There," he said, "emergency contact. Don't use it unless you're dying." "So cheerful," Maria muttered. "I've been told." Mae-Hee looped her arm through Maria's uninjured one. "Now, let me have my driver take you home. It's the least I can do." "That's really not... child." Mae-Hee stopped walking, turning to face her fully. The afternoon sun caught the tears still clinging to her lashes. "I have walked this earth for 63 years. I have survived things that would break most people. But today I would have died on that street if not for you." Her voice cracked. "Please, let me do this small thing." Maria's throat tightened. "Okay." As they walked toward a pristine black sedan that had materialized from somewhere, Dae-Jung fell into step beside them. "You know this changes things," he said to Maria. "What things?" "Everything." He glanced at her. "My mother doesn't claim people lightly. You're under our protection now, whether you want it or not." "Protection from what?" His smile was colder than his earlier expressions. "From whoever cut my mother's brake lines." Maria stopped walking. "What?" "The van didn't lose control by accident." His eyes were black ice. "Someone tried to kill her today." He looked at Maria with something that might have been regret. "And now they know your face." The Chin estate sat behind walls that looked decorative until you noticed the cameras, the reinforced gates, the way the security team moved with military precision. Maria pressed her face against the sedan window, watching the city fall away as they climbed into the hills, where the air tasted cleaner and the silence cost extra. "This is where you live?" she breathed. Mae-Hee smiled from the front seat. "For 30 years now. My late husband built it. It's like a fortress." "It needs to be." Mae-Hee's tone suggested this wasn't a metaphor. The car rolled through gates that closed behind them with a definitive clang. Maria's heart hammered against her ribs. She'd texted Rosa from the car. "Something crazy happened. I'm okay. Explain later." But explaining felt impossible when she didn't understand it herself. Dae-Jung had followed on his motorcycle, pulling up beside them as Maria stepped out. Without the helmet, in the golden afternoon light, he looked less like a crime boss and more like someone's devastatingly handsome older brother. Then he spoke and shattered the illusion. "Jae-won." A man in a tailored suit appeared instantly. "Double the perimeter guard. I want eyes on every camera feed. And get me the police report on that van within the hour." "Yes, sir." Maria watched the exchange with growing unease. "You really think someone tried to kill your mother on purpose?" "I don't think. I know." He gestured toward the house. "Come inside. We need to talk." The interior was all dark wood and creamstone, traditional Korean screens mixing with modern art. But what struck Maria most was how lived-in it felt. A cardigan draped over a chair, books stacked on a side table, the faint scent of jasmine tea lingering in the air. A woman in her 50s appeared, bowing slightly. "Madam, young master, welcome home. Mrs. Kang, this is Maria Santos. She saved my life today." Mae-Hee's voice carried the weight of a royal introduction. "Please prepare the guest room. She'll be staying for dinner." "Of course." Mrs. Kang's eyes widened slightly as she took in Maria's torn apron and bandaged arm. "Shall I bring the first aid kit?" "Already handled." Dae-Jung was scrolling through his phone, his jaw tight. "But bring tea and something to eat. She hasn't had lunch." Maria's stomach chose that moment to growl audibly. She'd lost her tamales in the intersection, and breakfast had been coffee and air. Mae-Hee laughed, the sound lighter than before. "See? She's practical. I like that." She linked her arm through Maria's again, leading her toward a sitting room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a garden. "Sit, child. Let me look at you properly." Maria sat on a sofa that probably cost more than her yearly rent. Mae-Hee settled beside her, studying her face with unsettling intensity. "You have kind eyes," she said finally, "but strong, like someone who's fought for everything they have." "My mom worked 3 jobs to keep us fed after Dad left," Maria said quietly. "I learned early that nothing comes free." "Good." Mae-Hee nodded approvingly. "Soft people don't survive hard worlds." She paused. "Tell me about your sister." "Rosa? She's 15, smart as hell, wants to be a doctor. She's everything I'm not. Patient, studious, actually thinks before she acts." "Unlike you, who throws herself at moving vehicles." Maria flushed. That was different. "How?" "Someone needed help." Mae-Hee's expression softened dangerously. "And that's all it took? Seeing someone in danger?" "I didn't really think about it. I just moved." "Instinct." Mae-Hee touched Maria's cheek, the gesture almost motherly. "My son has that too, the ability to act when others freeze. It's rare, precious," her voice dropped, "and it makes you a target." Before Maria could respond, Dae-Jung strode in holding a tablet, his expression grim. The brake lines were cut. Clean job. Professional. Mae-Hee's face hardened instantly. "How long ago?" "Sometime this morning, while you were at the temple." He sank into a chair across from them, running a hand through his hair. "They knew your schedule, which means someone inside our circle talked." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "Find them." Mae-Hee's voice could have frozen oceans. "And when you do, Make sure they understand what happens when they betray this family." Maria's mouth went dry. This wasn't the warm grandmother figure who'd held her hand in the car. This was someone else entirely. Someone who ruled an empire built on fear and loyalty. Dae-Jung's eyes flicked to Maria. "We should discuss this privately." "No." Mae-Hee's tone brooked no argument. "She's involved now. She deserves to know what she's walked into. She's a civilian. She's the girl who saved my life. That makes her ours to protect." Mae-Hee turned to Maria. "Child, I need you to understand something. My family is not like others. We operate in shadows. We have enemies. And today, because you were brave, those enemies now know your face." Maria's hands clenched in her lap. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," Dae-Jung cut in, his voice gentler than before, "that whoever planned this attack will have seen you pull my mother to safety. They'll wonder who you are, why you were there, whether you're connected to us. But I'm not. You are now." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "The moment my mother claimed you as family in front of witnesses, you became part of our world, for better or worse." Maria stood abruptly, pacing to the window. The garden below was immaculate, peaceful, completely at odds with the conversation happening behind her. "This is insane. I work at a diner. I take night classes. I'm nobody." "You're not nobody." Mae-Hee's voice carried across the room. "You're the girl who looked at danger and chose someone else's life over your own safety. That makes you extraordinary." "That makes me stupid." "No." Dae-Jung was suddenly beside her, his reflection appearing in the glass. "That makes you exactly the kind of person my mother respects, the kind who acts on principle instead of calculation." He paused. "The kind who reminds people like us that there's still good in the world." Maria turned to face him. Up close, she could see the exhaustion etched around his eyes, the tension in his shoulders. "How old are you?" The question seemed to catch him off guard. 32. "Why?" "You look tired." Something flickered in his expression, surprise maybe that someone had noticed. "It's been a long day. Your mother almost died. That's more than long." His jaw worked. "Yes." Mrs. Kang arrived with tea and an array of small plates, dumplings, rice cakes, fruit, enough food for 5 people. Maria's stomach growled again, betraying her. "Eat," Mae-Hee commanded, patting the sofa. "We can discuss survival strategies after you're fed." The food was incredible. Maria tried to eat slowly, to maintain some dignity, but she was starving and everything tasted like it had been prepared by someone who actually cared about flavor. Mae-Hee watched her with undisguised pleasure. "Good appetite," she approved. "My late husband used to say you can't trust someone who doesn't eat with enthusiasm." "Your husband sounds wise." He was. Mae-Hee's expression clouded. "He died 8 years ago. Heart attack. Very sudden." She glanced at Dae-Jung. "Left us with quite a mess to clean up." "Yama, she should know." Mae-Hee's voice was firm. "Maria, my husband ran a business empire that wasn't always legal. When he died, people thought we would fall apart, that a woman couldn't hold what he'd built, that my son was too young, too soft." "They were wrong," Maria guessed. Mae-Hee's smile was sharp. "Spectacularly wrong." She sipped her tea. "We survived. We adapted. And we made it very clear what happens to people who underestimate the Chin family." Dae-Jung set down his cup with careful precision. "What my mother is trying to say is that we've made enemies, powerful ones, and some of them have been waiting years for an opportunity to strike. Like today. Exactly like today." He met her eyes. "Which is why I need to ask you something important. Is there anywhere you can go? Family out of the city? Friends who could put you up for a few weeks?" Maria laughed without humor. "My mom lives in a studio apartment. My best friend is my coworker who can barely afford her own rent. And Rosa needs to stay in school." She shook her head. I'm not running. That's not who I am. Then you're stubborn. Dangerously so, she agreed. Mae-Hee clapped her hands together. Perfect. Then you'll stay here. Both Maria and Dae-Jung spoke simultaneously. What? Iyama? No. Yes. Mae-Hee's tone suggested the matter was settled. We have 12 guest rooms. You'll take the one overlooking the East Garden. Mrs. Kang will make sure you have everything you need. And until Dae-Jung eliminates the threat, you'll be under our protection. I can't just move in. Why not? Because... Maria gestured helplessly. Because this is your home. Because I'm a stranger. Because I have a life. A life that's currently in danger. Dae-Jung's voice was flat. Look, I don't like this any more than you do, but my mother's right. If they're willing to kill her, they won't hesitate to use you as leverage. At least here, we can keep you safe. Maria wanted to argue. Every instinct screamed that walking deeper into this world was a mistake. But she thought about Rosa, about her mother coming home to find their apartment ransacked, about being grabbed on a dark street corner because she'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time. How long? She asked quietly. A week, Dae-Jung said. Maybe 2. Just until I identify who ordered the hit and resolve the situation. The way he said resolve made Maria's skin prickle. What does that mean? It means, Mae-Hee interjected smoothly, that my son will handle it. You don't need to worry about the details. But Maria did worry, because she was starting to understand exactly what kind of family she'd stumbled into. The kind that didn't call the police when someone tried to kill them. The kind that resolved situations without involving authorities. The kind that made people disappear. She should have been terrified. She was terrified, but she was also looking at Mae-Hee's hands, still trembling slightly around her teacup. At the way Dae-Jung kept glancing toward his mother like he needed to confirm she was still breathing. At the genuine warmth in both their eyes when they looked at her. Okay, Maria heard herself say. 1 week. But I need to see my family. I need to explain this to them. Of course. Mae-Hee smiled. Bring them for Sunday dinner. I insist. That's 2 days away. Then you have 2 days to rest and recover. Your arm needs time to heal. And you need time to understand what you've gotten yourself into. Mae-Hee stood, suddenly looking every one of her 63 years. Mrs. Kang will show you to your room. We dress for dinner at 7. As if summoned, Mrs. Kang appeared in the doorway. Maria stood on shaky legs, following her toward the stairs. At the threshold, she looked back. Mae-Hee had collapsed against the sofa, her composure finally cracking. Dae-Jung was beside her instantly, one hand on her shoulder as she pressed a handkerchief to her eyes. I almost lost you, Maria heard him whisper. If she hadn't been there... But she was. Mae-Hee's voice was muffled. Fate put her in my path, Dae-Jung. I felt it the moment she touched me. This girl is important, to me, to you, to all of us. You don't know that. A mother knows. Mae-Hee lowered the handkerchief, her eyes fierce despite the tears. Mark my words, that girl will change everything. Maria turned away, her heart racing. She followed Mrs. Kang up the stairs, down a hallway lined with family photos. Mae-Hee younger, radiant, standing beside a handsome man who must have been her husband. Dae-Jung as a child, serious even then. Images of celebrations, of formal gatherings, of a family that had survived loss and emerged harder for it. The guest room was stunning. King bed with silk sheets, private bathroom with a tub that could double as a swimming pool, a balcony overlooking gardens that seemed to go on forever. Through the window, Maria could see Dae-Jung in the courtyard below, pacing while talking on his phone. Even from here, she could read the tension in his shoulders. Her phone buzzed. Rosa. Maria, what is happening? Are you okay? Where are you? Maria sank onto the bed, fingers hovering over the keyboard. How did you explain something like this? How did you tell your 15-year-old sister that you'd accidentally saved a crime boss's mother and were now living in their mansion for protection? She settled for, "Long story. I'm safe. I'll explain Sunday. Love you." Rosa's response was immediate. "You better not be doing anything stupid." Too late, Maria thought. Way too late. A soft knock interrupted her spiral. "Miss Maria." Mrs. Kang stood in the doorway holding a bundle of clothes. "The madam thought you might want something clean to wear for dinner. These should fit." The clothes were designer. Maria could tell even without looking at the labels. Soft cashmere, quality denim, things she'd never be able to afford in a lifetime of diner shifts. "I can't accept these. The madam insists." Mrs. Kang's smile was kind. "She has very particular ideas about hospitality. It's easier not to argue." Maria laughed, despite everything. "I'm getting that impression." Mrs. Kang set the clothes on the bed. "For what it's worth, I've worked for this family for 20 years. The madam has never brought anyone home like this. Never claimed someone so publicly." She paused at the door. "You must be very special." "I'm really not," Maria whispered. "The madam thinks otherwise, and she's rarely wrong about people." After Mrs. Kang left, Maria showered in the massive bathroom, letting hot water wash away the adrenaline crash. Her arm throbbed where the medic had stitched it. Her shoulder was already bruising where she'd hit the curb. But she was alive. Mae-Hee was alive. And somehow, impossibly, Maria's life had tilted sideways into something she didn't recognize. She dressed in the borrowed clothes, dark jeans that fit perfectly, a soft green sweater that probably cost more than her monthly rent. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. She looked like someone who belonged in a place like this. She looked like a lie. 7 o'clock found her descending the stairs on shaky legs. Voices drifted from the dining room. Mae-Hee's laugh, Dae-Jung's lower rumble. Others she didn't recognize. Maria paused in the doorway. The dining table could have seated 20, but only 4 places were set. Mae-Hee sat at the head, transformed in an elegant hanbok, her earlier fragility replaced by queenly composure. Dae-Jung had changed into dark slacks and a crisp white shirt, somehow looking both more relaxed and more dangerous without the suit. And there were 2 others, a man in his 40s with sharp eyes and a woman around Mae-Hee's age wearing enough jewelry to fund a small country. Everyone looked up when Maria entered. "Ah!" Mae-Hee's face lit up. "Come, child. Meet the family. This is my brother, Chin Sang-uk, and his wife, Min-seo." Sang-uk's gaze raked over Maria with undisguised skepticism. "So you're the famous rescuer?" "I wouldn't say famous. Notorious, then." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "My sister has been singing your praises for hours. One would think you'd walked on water rather than simply reacted to an accident." The way he said accident made Maria's spine straighten. "It wasn't an accident. Someone cut the brake lines." Silence crashed over the table. Sang-uk's expression shifted. "Is that so? And how would you know that?" "I told her," Dae-Jung said coldly. "Since she's the reason my mother is still alive to have this conversation." "Of course." Sang-uk raised his glass. "To Maria, then. Our unexpected hero." Min-seo smiled warmly, but her eyes were calculating. "You must tell us everything, dear. How did you happen to be there at that exact moment?" Maria's instincts screamed warning. "I was walking back to work. Wrong place, right time." "Or perhaps," Min-seo continued, "the right place at the right time. Fate works in mysterious ways." "Fate had nothing to do with it," Sang-uk cut in. "It was coincidence, or—" His gaze sharpened. "Something else entirely." Dae-Jung's hand clenched around his wine glass. "Uncle, if you have something to say." "I'm merely observing that this girl appeared very conveniently, just in time to save Mae-Hee. just in time to earn her gratitude and trust. He leaned back. Forgive me for being suspicious. It's kept me alive this long. Maria's throat tightened. You think I staged the whole thing? Did you? Sang-uk! Mae-Hee's voice cracked like a whip. That's enough. Is it? Sister, someone tried to kill you today, and this stranger just happened to be there to play hero? It's worth questioning. She's injured. Injuries can be faked. Maria stood abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. She looked at Mae-Hee, then Dae-Jung. Thank you for your hospitality, but I should go. No. Dae-Jung rose as well. You're staying. Uncle, you're leaving. Sang-uk's eyebrows rose. Excuse me? You heard me. This is my mother's house. Maria is her guest. If you can't show respect, you can leave. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Min-seo placed a hand on her husband's arm, but Sang-uk shook her off. Your mother's house? He laughed bitterly. I helped build this empire. I have every right. You have whatever rights my mother grants you, Dae-Jung interrupted. And right now, you're testing her patience. Mae-Hee's voice was quiet but absolute. Sang-uk, my son is right. Maria saved my life at great risk to her own. She is under my protection. Question her again, and you question me. Sang-uk stared at his sister for a long moment. Then he stood, throwing his napkin on the table. Fine, but don't come crying to me when this girl shows her true colors. He stalked toward the door, Min-seo hurrying after him. The door slammed. Maria was shaking. I should really go. Please don't. Mae-Hee's voice was tired. My brother is cautious, sometimes to a fault, but he means well. He thinks I'm a con artist. He thinks everyone is a con artist, Dae-Jung said dryly. It's his one personality trait. He pulled out a chair. Please, sit. The food is getting cold and Mrs. Kang will be personally offended. Maria hesitated. Then she sat, because what else could she do? Dinner was surprisingly normal after that. Mae-Hee asking about Maria's life, her family, her dreams. Dae-Jung mostly listened, occasionally interjecting with questions that felt less like interrogation and more like genuine curiosity. What were you studying? He asked. You mentioned night classes. Business management. Boring, I know, but it's practical. I want to open my own restaurant someday. Mae-Hee's eyes lit up. A restaurant. What kind? Salvadoran food, my grandmother's recipes. She died when I was 12, but I still remember everything she taught me. Maria smiled despite herself. Pupusas, tamales, yuca frita. Food that reminds people of home. Food is memory, Mae-Hee said softly. That's beautiful. They talked until the candles burned low. About food, about family, about loss and survival. And slowly, impossibly, Maria felt some of her fear ease. These people were dangerous. She wasn't naive enough to forget that. But they were also human. Broken and trying. Scared and fierce. Just like her. When Mae-Hee finally stood, yawning, she touched Maria's shoulder. Sleep well, child. Tomorrow we'll figure out how to keep you alive. The casual way she said it made Maria's blood chill. After Mae-Hee left, Dae-Jung walked Maria to the stairs. My uncle is wrong, he said quietly. About you. How do you know? Because I've spent my entire life reading people. It's how I stay alive. He met her eyes. And you're exactly who you appear to be. Someone brave and reckless and too good for the world you've stumbled into. Maria's breath caught. That sounds like an insult and a compliment. It's an observation. He paused. My mother is right about you being in danger. But she's also right about something else. What? His expression was unreadable in the dim light. You're important. I don't understand it yet, but I feel it. He took a step back. Sleep. Tomorrow we start figuring out who wants my mother dead, and how to make sure they fail. He turned to leave. Dae-Jung? He looked back. Thank you for defending me to your uncle. Something softened in his expression. You saved my mother's life. That makes you worth defending. Then he was gone, leaving Maria alone in a hallway that cost more than her entire neighborhood, wondering how her life had become a thriller novel in the span of 8 hours. She climbed to her room, exhaustion crashing over her. Through the window, she could see Dae-Jung in the courtyard again, phone pressed to his ear, face illuminated by cold moonlight. A man making war plans, and Maria realized with dawning horror that she was now part of those plans, whether she wanted to be or not. Maria woke to screaming. She bolted upright, heart hammering, disoriented in the unfamiliar room. Dawn light barely touched the windows. The screaming came again, not fear, but fury. Mae-Hee's voice, sharp as broken glass, cutting through the morning quiet. Maria grabbed the robe Mrs. Kang had left and rushed into the hallway. Other doors were opening, staff members emerging with worried faces. Below, in the main hall, Mae-Hee stood in her nightgown, hair loose, holding a photograph that trembled in her hands. Dae-Jung was already there, barefoot in sweatpants and a t-shirt, looking like he'd never gone to bed. "Iama, what? Look." Mae-Hee thrust the photo at him. "Look what they left on the doorstep." Maria reached the top of the stairs, freezing when she saw Dae-Jung's expression transform into something murderous. He stared at the photo, his jaw working, hands clenching so hard his knuckles went white. "What is it?" Maria asked, descending slowly. Dae-Jung looked up. For a second, she saw something raw in his eyes. Fear, rage, and something else. Something that looked like guilt. "Go back to your room." "No." Maria reached the bottom step. "Someone tell me what's happening." Mae-Hee's laugh was brittle. "They left us a message." She turned the photo around. Maria's stomach dropped. It was her, walking into the diner yesterday morning, coffee cup in hand, completely unaware. The angle suggested someone had been watching from across the street, and scrawled across the bottom in red ink, "Pretty rescuer. Let's see if she can save herself." The world tilted. "They know where I work," Maria whispered. "They know my routine. They know everything." Dae-Jung's voice was granite. "Which means someone's been watching you since yesterday." He pulled out his phone, barking orders. "I want every camera feed from that street. I want to know who delivered this and when, and I want a team on Maria's family right now." "Rosa," Maria's voice cracked. "My mother," "Already being protected," Dae-Jung assured her. "I had people on them last night. They're safe." "You didn't tell me." "I was going to this morning." His eyes met hers. "I wasn't taking chances." Mae-Hee sank into a chair, suddenly looking fragile again. "They're escalating. Usually they wait, they plan. But this," she gestured at the photo, "this is rage. Someone wants to hurt us badly enough to throw strategy away." "Or they're trying to flush us out," Dae-Jung countered. "Make us panic, make mistakes." "It's working." Maria's hands shook. "I need to see my family, now." "Not alone?" "I don't care." Maria's voice rose. "Someone is threatening my little sister because I pulled your mother out of the way of a truck. Rosa doesn't deserve this. My mother doesn't deserve this." "You're right." Dae-Jung's tone softened. "Which is why I'm bringing them here. Today. Right now." Maria blinked. "What?" "This estate is the safest place in the city. We have security, weapons, trained guards. Your family stays here until this is over. You can't just—" "I can, and I am." He was already typing on his phone. "What's your mother's address?" Maria wanted to argue, but she thought about Rosa walking to school, unaware someone might be following her, about her mother exhausted from night shifts, vulnerable in ways she'd never admit, about the red ink on that photograph promising violence. She rattled off the address. Dae-Jung relayed it to whoever was on the other end. "Bring them, gently. Explain the situation. And tell them Maria is safe." He hung up. "They'll be here within the hour." My mother is going to lose her mind. Better angry than dead, Mae-Hee said bluntly. She stood, composure sliding back into place like armor. Mrs. Kang, prepare 2 more guest rooms and breakfast for 5. We'll need our strength for what comes next. She looked at Maria. Child, I'm sorry. This isn't the protection I promised. It's not your fault. It is. Mae-Hee's voice was steel wrapped in silk. My enemies are using you to wound me. That makes it my responsibility to keep you safe. All of you. The next hour was chaos. Maria paced the sitting room, too anxious to sit. Dae-Jung made call after call, his voice growing colder with each conversation. Mae-Hee dressed and returned, looking every inch the matriarch, hair perfect, makeup flawless, presence commanding. When the car finally arrived, Maria ran to the entrance. Rosa burst out first, eyes wide, taking in the mansion with barely concealed awe before spotting Maria. What the hell is going on? Rosa demanded, rushing forward. These men showed up saying we were in danger and we had to come here immediately and... She stopped, seeing Maria's bandaged arm. You're hurt. I'm fine. Maria pulled her sister into a hug. I promise, I'm okay. Their mother emerged more slowly, pride and fear warring on her face. Carmen Santos was small but fierce, her nurse's scrubs wrinkled from a night shift, her eyes taking in everything with sharp assessment. Mija, she touched Maria's face. What have you gotten into? Long story, Mama. Then you better start telling it. Mae-Hee appeared in the doorway and something passed between the two mothers, recognition of a kind Maria didn't fully understand. Mrs. Santos, I'm Chin Mae-Hee. Your daughter saved my life yesterday. Carmen's eyes narrowed. Is that why we were collected like criminals in the night? No. Mae-Hee's voice was gentle. That's because the people who tried to kill me now view your family as collateral damage. I couldn't let that happen. The bluntness seemed to catch Carmen off guard. She looked at Maria, then back to Mae-Hee. You're the woman from the news, the accident. It wasn't an accident. Understanding dawned on Carmen's face, followed by anger. So, because my daughter did the right thing, we're targets? Yes, Mae-Hee said simply. I'm sorry, but I promise you, while you're under this roof, no one will touch you. You have my word. Carmen laughed without humor. The word of a crime boss. Forgive me if I'm not reassured. Mama. No, Maria. This is insane. We don't belong in this world. Neither do I, Maria shot back. But I'm here anyway. Because someone has to be. Because they threatened Rosa. Because I won't let anything happen to our family. Rosa grabbed Maria's hand. Someone threatened me? Dae-Jung stepped forward, his presence commanding immediate attention. They left a photo on our doorstep this morning. Maria at work, with a message making it clear she's a target. His eyes met Carmen's. Which makes you and your younger daughter leverage. I've already tripled your apartment security, but this estate is safer. How long? Carmen asked tightly. Until I eliminate the threat. And how do you plan to do that? Dae-Jung's smile was cold. By finding who ordered the hit and making sure they never threaten my family again. We're not your family. You are now, Mae-Hee interrupted. Whether you like it or not, your daughter earned that when she risked her life for mine. The two women stared at each other. Then Carmen sighed, exhaustion winning over pride. Fine. 1 week. But my daughter goes nowhere alone. And if anything happens to either of my girls, it won't, Dae-Jung said with absolute certainty. I'll die before I let anyone hurt them. The way he said it made Maria's breath catch. They ate breakfast in tense silence, Carmen watching everything with suspicious eyes, Rosa stealing glances at the artwork and asking whispered questions about the house, Mae-Hee playing gracious hostess, while somehow also looking like she was planning a war. Dae-Jung barely ate. He kept checking his phone, his expression growing darker with each message. Finally, he stood. I need to handle something. Jae-Won will stay with you. Handle what? Maria asked. His eyes met hers. The kind of thing you don't want to know about. Try me. He hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. We found the van driver. He's being questioned. The way he said questioned made Maria's stomach turn. You mean tortured? I mean encouraged to share information about who hired him. That's torture. That's survival. His voice was flat. Someone tried to kill my mother and is now targeting you. I don't have the luxury of playing nice. Carmen set down her coffee cup with deliberate care. And this is the world you've dragged my daughters into. I didn't drag anyone, Dae-Jung said coolly. Your daughter made a choice, a brave one, and now we're all living with the consequences. Dae-Jung. Mae-Hee's voice carried warning. That's enough. He bowed slightly. Forgive me. I need air. Then he was gone, leaving uncomfortable silence in his wake. Rosa broke it. He's intense. That's one word for it, Carmen muttered. Mae-Hee smiled sadly. My son has carried this family since he was 24. His father died suddenly, leaving chaos. Dae-Jung had to become someone he never wanted to be, hard, cold, calculating. It's kept us alive, but it's cost him pieces of his soul. And you want Maria involved with that? Carmen's voice was sharp. I want, Mae-Hee said carefully, my son to remember he's still human, that there's more to life than survival. Your daughter reminded him of that. She looked at Maria. She looked at him and didn't see a monster. She saw someone trying to protect his mother. That's rare in our world, Maria flushed. I don't see anything special. Because you're good, Mae-Hee interrupted. Genuinely good, and good is dangerous in a world like ours. It makes people want to destroy it or protect it at all costs. Which one is Dae-Jung? Rosa asked. Mae-Hee's smile widened. Both. That's what makes this interesting. The day crawled by. Carmen and Rosa were given a tour of the estate. Rosa fascinated by everything, Carmen cataloging exits and security measures like she was planning an escape. Maria tried to help Mrs. Kang in the kitchen but was gently shooed away. She ended up in the library, surrounded by books in Korean, English, and languages she couldn't identify. She was reading when Dae-Jung found her hours later. He talked, he said without preamble. Maria closed her book. And? It was my uncle. The words came out flat, emotionless, but Maria saw the devastation underneath. Sang-uk hired the hit. He wanted my mother dead so he could take control of the family business. Oh, God. Maria stood. Dae-Jung, I'm so sorry. Don't be. His laugh was bitter. I should have seen it. He's been resentful for years, thinking he deserved more power. But to kill his own sister... He ran a hand through his hair. Family is supposed to mean something. What are you going to do? His eyes met hers, and she saw the answer there. Cold, final, necessary. No, Maria stepped closer. There has to be another way. There isn't. He tried to kill my mother. He threatened you. He put Rosa and your mother at risk. His voice dropped. This is how our world works, Maria. There are rules. He broke them. Now he pays. By dying? By facing consequences he understood when he made his choice. Maria grabbed his arm. You'll lose yourself if you do this. You'll become exactly what people think you are. Something flickered in his expression. Maybe I already am. No. Her grip tightened. Your mother was right. You're still human. Don't let him take that from you. They stood there, inches apart, the air between them charged with something Maria couldn't name. Then Dae-Jung gently removed her hand. I appreciate what you're trying to do, he said quietly. But some bridges burn whether you light the match or not. He walked away, leaving Maria standing alone among the books, her heart aching for a man she barely knew but somehow understood completely. That night, Sang-uk disappeared. The official story would be that he fled the country, unable to face his crimes. But Maria saw Mae-Hee's face the next morning, older, harder, carved from grief and necessity. She'd given the order. Family or not, betrayal had a price. "Is it over?" Carmen asked over breakfast. "The immediate threat, yes," Mae-Hee replied. "But there will be others. There always are. Then we should leave." "No!" Maria's voice was firm. "Not yet." Everyone looked at her. "Someone else might come," Maria continued. "Someone might still think we're vulnerable. I want to stay until we're sure, until Rosa can go back to school safely, until Mama can work without looking over her shoulder." "That could take weeks," Carmen protested. "Then we stay weeks." Maria looked at Mae-Hee. "If you'll have us—" Mae-Hee's eyes glistened. "Child, I'd keep you forever if you'd let me." The next few days fell into unexpected rhythm. Rosa studied in the library, amazed by the resources. Carmen helped Mrs. Kang in the kitchen, the two women bonding over recipes and shared exhaustion. And Maria found herself drawn into Mae-Hee's orbit, learning about the family business, the legal parts mostly, understanding the weight of legacy, seeing the woman behind the legend. Dae-Jung remained distant. Maria would catch glimpses of him, on the phone, in meetings with grim-faced men, working late into the night. He looked haunted, like he'd crossed a line he couldn't uncross. Finally, Maria cornered him in the courtyard one evening. "You're avoiding me." "I'm busy." "You're hiding." He turned, eyes shadowed. "What do you want me to say, Maria? That I'm sorry for protecting my family? That I regret doing what was necessary?" "I want you to admit it's eating you alive." The words hung between them. Then Dae-Jung's shoulders sagged. "Of course it is. He was my uncle. I grew up with him. And I—" His voice cracked. "I gave the order. Me. Not my mother. I made that choice. To protect her. That doesn't make it easier." He met her eyes. "You were right. I lost something doing this. Something I can't get back." Maria stepped closer. "Then find something else to hold on to." "Like what?" She took his hand, feeling his pulse race against her palm. "Like this. Like the fact that you're still capable of feeling guilt, which means you're not the monster you think you are. Like your mother is alive because you acted. Like my family is safe because you protected them." "That's not enough." "It has to be," Maria interrupted, "because the alternative is drowning. And I didn't pull your mother from that street just to watch you destroy yourself." Something broke in his expression. He pulled her close, forehead dropping to hers, breathing hard. "I don't know how to do this. How to be both things. The man my family needs, and the man you see when you look at me." "You figure it out," Maria whispered. "One day at a time, with people who care about you watching your back." "Is that what you're doing? Watching my back?" "Among other things." He pulled back slightly, searching her face. "What other things?" Maria's heart hammered. "Falling in love with someone I shouldn't. Someone complicated and dangerous and frustrating." She smiled despite the fear. "Sound familiar?" Dae-Jung's laugh was broken. "Completely insane is what it sounds like." "Probably." Maria touched his face. "But I'm done pretending this isn't happening, whatever this is." He caught her hand, pressing it against his cheek. "You should run, far and fast." "Too late. Your mother already claimed me. I'm stuck now." "She does that." "It's growing on me." They stood there in the courtyard, the same tree that had witnessed Mae-Hee's tears now sheltering this fragile, impossible thing growing between them. Dae-Jung leaned down slowly, giving Maria every chance to pull away. She didn't. The kiss was soft, almost tentative, like he was afraid she'd shatter. When they broke apart, both were trembling. "This is a terrible idea," he murmured. "The worst," Maria agreed. "My world is dangerous. I'm aware. You'll always be a target. I've made peace with that." He shook his head, almost smiling. You're insane. Or maybe just brave enough for both of us. That earned a real smile, small but genuine. Maybe. A month later, the threats had quieted. Rosa returned to school with discreet security. Carmen went back to work, though she visited the estate twice a week for dinners that had become tradition. And Maria moved between both worlds, her diner shifts and night classes, then evenings at the Chin estate where she was slowly, impossibly becoming part of the family. Mae-Hee watched it all with satisfaction. "I told you," she said to Maria one afternoon as they tended the garden together. "Fate brought you to us. Or coincidence. There's no such thing." Mae-Hee smiled. "The universe needed my son to remember his humanity. It sent you. That's a lot of pressure. You're handling it beautifully." Mae-Hee squeezed her hand. "You're good for him, for us. You bring light into all this darkness. I'm just me." "Exactly." Mae-Hee's eyes shone. "Never change that." That evening, Dae-Jung found Maria on her favorite balcony, watching the sunset paint the city gold. "I have something for you." He held out a small box. Inside was a bracelet. Simple gold, delicate but strong. "It was my grandmother's. My mother wore it until my father died. She's been saving it." "For who?" "For the woman I'd choose." He slipped it onto Maria's wrist. "If you'll have it, have us. This complicated, dangerous, completely insane family." Maria's throat tightened. "Are you asking what I think you're asking?" "Not yet." He smiled. "But soon. When you're ready. When we're ready." He pulled her close. "But I wanted you to know. You're not temporary, Maria. Not to me. Not to my mother. You're ours now. If you want to be." Maria looked at the bracelet, then at the city below, then at the man who'd become her entire world in ways she never expected. "I want to be," even knowing what it means. Especially knowing what it means. She turned in his arms. "I told you. I don't run, and I meant it." He kissed her then, deeper this time, less afraid. And Maria realized that the truck hadn't been the moment her life changed. This was. Standing in the arms of a man she shouldn't love but couldn't help it. Wearing a bracelet that meant family, choosing danger and complexity over safety and simplicity. Behind them, through the window, Mae-Hee watched with tears streaming down her face. Her son, finally opening his heart. The daughter she'd claimed, becoming the daughter she'd always wanted. A family born from accident and choice and fierce, stubborn love. "Perfect," she whispered. "Absolutely perfect." 6 months later, Maria stood in a traditional hanbok, her mother weeping beside her, Rosa serving as her maid of honor, while Dae-Jung waited at the altar looking terrified and awed and completely hers. Mae-Hee sat in the front row, the matriarch who'd claimed her that day in the street now officially making her a Chin. The officiant spoke about fate and choice and destiny, but Maria wasn't listening to words. She was watching Dae-Jung's eyes, no longer cold, no longer distant, warm, human, alive. When he slipped the ring on her finger, he whispered, "Thank you." "For what?" "For saving her, for saving me." His voice cracked. "For staying." "Always," Maria promised. "You're stuck with me now." "Good." He kissed her, and the room erupted in applause. "Because I'm never letting you go." As they walked back down the aisle, Maria caught Mae-Hee's eye. The older woman smiled through tears, mouthing, "I knew it." And Maria couldn't argue, because maybe it was fate. Maybe the universe had placed her on that street at that exact moment for this exact reason, to save a woman who would become her family, to meet a man who would become her everything, to find the place where she finally, completely belonged. She'd saved Mae-Hee's life that day, but looking at Dae-Jung's face, at Rosa's joy, at her mother's proud tears, at the family that had claimed her and refused to let go, Maria realized something profound. They'd saved her right back. The waitress who'd thrown herself at danger without thinking had found something worth the risk. A love fierce enough to survive darkness. A family built on choice rather than blood. A future she never saw coming but couldn't imagine living without. And as they stepped into the courtyard where it had all begun, where Dae-Jung had first held her while she trembled, where Mae-Hee had declared her family, where Maria had learned that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is open your heart, Maria knew one thing with absolute certainty. She'd do it all again, every terrifying, impossible, beautiful moment, because this was where she was meant to be, with these people, in this life, forever. Mae-Hee raised her glass, her voice carrying across the celebration. To Maria, who saved not just my life, but reminded us all what it means to choose love over fear. To my daughter, my son's heart, our family's light. To Maria, everyone echoed. And Maria, surrounded by the family she'd accidentally found and deliberately kept, smiled through happy tears and thought, This is what saving someone really means. Not just pulling them from danger, but choosing them every day after. Choosing to stay, choosing to love, choosing each other. The truck had been the beginning, but this was the rest of their lives, and it was perfect.